Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are diving deep into the latest political currents sweeping South Africa, and trust me, this one is layered. We are talking about Floyd Shivambu's recent observations on the ANC and a new movement called MAYIBUYE, which, according to some, might just be the lifeline our nation has been waiting for. Buckle up, because this isn't just another passing headline, it's a window into the workings of South Africa's political theatre. Floyd Shivambu, the deputy president of the Economic Freedom Fighters, made a statement recently that has caught the attention of everyone who follows South African politics. He reminded the public that the chairperson of the African National Congress, who you might know as Cyril Ramaphosa, knows his members extremely well. We're not just talking about the councillors, the faces you see in local wards, or those familiar figures at municipal meetings. No, it goes far deeper. Shivambu pointed out that this knowledge extends to MPLs, members of the provincial legislature, and MPs, the national parliamentarians. In other words, it's a full-spectrum awareness of the party's internal machinery, from grassroots operatives to national policymakers. Now, why is this significant? Because it gives the ANC leadership an almost encyclopedic sense of who is performing, who is lagging, and who might have hidden agendas. If you think about it, this is both impressive and, to some, a little unsettling. Shivambu seems to suggest that this deep knowledge of members contributes to a political culture that tolerates what he calls self-proclaimed and admitted mediocrity. Essentially, the party is aware of its weaknesses but has not always been able, or willing, to root them out. And that brings us to MAYIBUYE. MAYIBUYE, in the contemporary political discourse, is emerging as a potential counterforce. While the movement carries historical resonance, it was once a rallying cry during the anti-apartheid struggle, it is now being reimagined as a vehicle for national rescue. Shivambu's comments imply that MAYIBUYE could challenge the entrenched mediocrity, not by force of rhetoric alone but through actual political strategy and governance. He paints a picture of a South Africa that refuses to settle for excuses, one where accountability is more than just a buzzword at a committee meeting. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on the layers here. The ANC, despite being the ruling party for over 3 decades, has faced continuous criticism for underperformance at local government level. We've seen municipalities fail to deliver basic services, from water to electricity to waste management. And yet, these failures often occur under the watchful eyes of a leadership that knows exactly who is responsible. There is a tension here, knowing the problem exists, yet failing to solve it effectively. This is the crux of Shivambu's critique. On the other side of the spectrum, MAYIBUYE is positioned almost as a beacon of hope. The movement is framed as a force capable of stepping in where traditional structures have faltered. Whether it's through better governance, sharper accountability measures, or even just shaking up the political culture, MAYIBUYE is presented as a remedy to the kind of stagnation that plagues South African politics. And while the notion of a single movement rescuing a nation may sound ambitious, some might even say theatrical, there is a seriousness in Shivambu's delivery that signals he sees genuine potential here. It's also worth noting the rhetorical strategy at play. Shivambu does not merely criticize the ANC. He contrasts it with a vision of renewal, implicitly inviting the public to consider alternatives. By framing MAYIBUYE as a corrective to mediocrity, he taps into widespread frustration, particularly among younger voters and urban professionals who are increasingly vocal about governance failures. This is a savvy political move. It turns critique into a proposition: yes, we know what's wrong, but here is something that can be done about it. Of course, we cannot ignore the irony. The very party that Shivambu serves, EFF, is itself a product of dissent within the ANC. It is no stranger to the political games, factionalism, and controversies that Shivambu is highlighting. In many ways, this makes his comments both pointed and self-reflective. The audience is invited to read between the lines. Shivambu is offering a critique, but he is also signaling that effective political change requires more than just criticism, it demands an actionable plan. So what could this mean for the average South African watching local politics unfold? First, it highlights just how connected ANC leadership is to its ranks. Every vote, every decision, and every slip-up is tracked and remembered. Second, it signals that movements like MAYIBUYE are gaining traction as more than symbolic gestures, they are seen as potential vehicles for reform. Third, it underscores a broader political dynamic. South Africans are increasingly aware of mediocrity and are looking for alternatives that combine vision with competence. And let's be honest, there's a little humor in the situation too. You have one of the most prominent political figures in the country, Floyd Shivambu, essentially giving a masterclass on political surveillance and internal party knowledge, while hinting that a movement named after an anti-apartheid rallying cry might be the country's best hope. It's almost cinematic, like something out of a political thriller where the audience knows more than some of the characters themselves. Before we wrap up, it's crucial to remember that political commentary is not just about pointing fingers. It's about understanding the stakes, the players, and the underlying systems that shape outcomes. Shivambu's observations remind us that South African politics is both intensely personal and systemically complex. Leaders know their people, factions compete subtly yet ruthlessly, and movements like MAYIBUYE are stepping into a space that craves change. So, what can you, as a viewer, take away from this? Keep your eyes on both the established parties and the emerging movements. Watch how accountability, performance, and public perception intersect. And most importantly, remember that political literacy is one of the most powerful tools in a democracy. The more we understand the players, the rules, and the stakes, the better we can participate in shaping the future. If you enjoyed this deep dive into South African political strategy, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment below. Share your thoughts. Do you think MAYIBUYE has what it takes to challenge the entrenched systems of mediocrity? Or is this just another headline in the long story of South African politics? Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay engaged, and see you next time.